Hello everyone. So next we have the fourth process of integration management knowledge area, which is manage project knowledge. So this is that process which was first of all not part of PMBOK 5th edition, and now it's part of PMBOK 6th edition. Very important. I have some discussion with my students, those who actually prepared for the 5th edition, but somehow they were not able to give the exam in 5th edition. But when they went ahead and gave the exam in 6th edition, they told me they got a lot of good questions from this particular process. So an important one, I would say you could assume around 6 to 7 questions from this. Okay. So, but what does this particular process involve? It's used for future project or phases. So basically, whenever you see this statement or see this process which says manage project knowledge, this means they are talking about lessons learned. Okay, something which will help your future projects. So something, this lessons learned which actually becomes part of your organizational process asset. Okay, so let's see what it is. It's a process of using existing knowledge and creating new knowledge to achieve the project objectives and contribute to the organization learning. So there are two keywords over here. First, we have the use of existing knowledge. Like for example, we are working on a project, right? We try to make sure that something which is helping us from our past projects, right? We create the knowledge in this particular process which will help the future project. So that's our new knowledge. So new knowledge is something, whatever I'll create the lessons learned, which will help the future project. But existing knowledge is something which I have got it from the past projects, which have been done by the organization. So prior organization knowledge is leveraged. Yes, it improves the project outcomes, right? See, I'm actually one of the biggest advocate of this, and the reason why I would say so is because I get a lot of feedback from the students. Sometimes it's good, bad, and I always take it sportingly, and I want to make sure I improve and give you the best product, right? Until unless I get that feedback, get that lessons learned from you guys, I won't improve, right? So this is the process which is helping me to gather those lessons learned, so that next time I come up more prepared, and I come up with some more knowledge. It supports organizational operations and future project or phases. So basically, again, basically our main goal is for future projects to make sure that whenever those future projects are, are starting, they can get something good from our project. So whatever mistakes we did in this particular project, we don't want that, the other projects do the same. Okay, so if we review, I'm sorry, not if we review. So let's review the tools and techniques, inputs and the outputs. So for the inputs, we have the project management plan. Then we have the project documents, deliverables, EEF, OPA. For the tools, we have the expert judgment, knowledge management, information management, and we have few of the interpersonal and team skills. So pretty good information which we have not done till now. So we would be discussing about those today. Then we would also discuss about the primary output, which is the lessons learned register. I would say a document which contains everything about the project. When I say everything, what were the good things which happened? What were the bad things? What are the things which could help us in the future? So all of those information, what was the project success? Is it a success or a failure? All that information which can help the future project is part of the lessons learned register. And of course, or any of the, based upon those lessons learned or planned documents may get updated. And one of the most important output, again, which is a common output, is the OP updates. But this is where I would definitely say it's an important. Why? Because the lessons learned register, which is formed here, it will get automatically become part of the OP updates. Okay. Now let's review some of the inputs which we have. Let's discuss those inputs in detail. So first we have the project management plan. So it's a common output. All components which are part of the project management plan would be part. So because you can get the information from anything. So if your main concern is to gather the knowledge, use the existing knowledge, you can actually get it from the project management plan, anything which is part of the project management plan. Then you will definitely get the deliverables. See, when the first time I see the deliverable, when I have the deliverable with me, that will give me the lessons learned. Okay, like for example, the same example of buying that new car. Let's say I was, initially I was being lazy, and I could have got that car pretty quickly, but instead it took me like 5 6 months to get the car. That's not a good thing. I could document that kind of information in the lessons learned. Then we have the project documents. So lessons learned register. Okay, so lessons learned register, which is an output, is also an input. And the only reason why it is that this is the process which keeps on going again and again. So assume the first time when this process is done, this lessons learned register is not the input. So you got the lessons learned register as an output, but next time if you do, you will, it will become more like a chain reaction that will go and become an input as well. You will have the project team assignments. Who will give you these lessons learned? Who will give you this knowledge? The team members who are working on a project, right? So you need to know the people, those who are working on a project. Similarly, resource breakdown structure, same. Which resource is, which resource, like what, I would say, which resource it belongs to which group. You need to know those information, right? Is this from the dev group? Is this from the implementation group? All those information. So they are the people, those who help you to, gather the knowledge, and take an informed decision. Of course, source selection criteria. So source selection criteria is very important. This is actually, I would say, one of the biggest contributor of the lessons learned. Why? Because if, let's say, you are in the procurement management, you hired a contractor and things did not go as planned. So now you would say, okay, yeah, the contractor was not good. You could probably, you might probably, blame the contractor. But ask this to yourself: is this really the reason that the contractor did not do well? Was there any fault in the source selection criteria? What if you probably might have come with more stringent rules around that, right? So source selection criteria could be one of the biggest factor of the lessons learned. So that's why it is an input here. And of course you can also get some lessons learned from the stakeholder register. So you can get some from the stakeholder register as well. So the people, those who are involved, the stakeholders, the customer, all those people can also give you the lessons learned. And then we have, of course, we have the common output, which is the OPA updates and the EEF updates, the organization culture, the policies, all those things could help you to get the lessons learned as well. So again, these are some of the inputs. As far as tools and technique are concerned, these are some of the tools and techniques which are, I would say, not common, except the expert judgment, which you have learned till now in the first three processes of this knowledge area. You'll probably see that expert judgment in the following processes as well. So, of course, the expert judgment, the expert could help you, to get that knowledge and, share his or her past experience, and accordingly you can improve. So, expert judgment is one of the important input over here. As far as knowledge management is concerned, it's a tool which connects people to create new knowledge, share and integrate existing knowledge. Many subtools are included in this, for instance, networking, communities of practice, meetings, work shadowing, discussion forums, knowledge sharing events. I would give you a real life example of this knowledge management. So it's every time it's talking about a tool, it is a tool which helps you to get, create a new knowledge and use the existing knowledge. One of the biggest example of this knowledge management is the Facebook and the LinkedIn group. So those Facebook and LinkedIn group, lot of students like you go ahead and post the daily questions, and lot of other people answer those questions. They give reasons to those questions. So all of those, that is actually one of the biggest contributor of your knowledge. Like they will help you to create help your concept. So I would say the FB group and the LinkedIn group, that is your knowledge management. We can say we have some of the experts which are part of those group who try to help people. So that's the expert will be the expert judgment. Um, an important concept, and I would say two or three questions probably from this particular concept in knowledge management is there are two different types of knowledge: explicit knowledge and the tacit knowledge. So explicit knowledge is about the knowledge that can be expressed using words, pictures, numbers. Like I can actually give you that. Like for example, if I say more than 60% of the people pass the PMP exam in the first attempt. So I'm giving you numbers. When I give you information like this is like an explicit knowledge. But on the other hand, we also have a tacit knowledge. When I say tacit knowledge, it's all about the personal knowledge, which is very difficult to express, which is something which somebody gets it with experience based upon the insights. So that is the tacit knowledge as well. Okay. Then uh, remember, the explicit knowledge can be actually documented, but it's a pretty big a misconception which we say that knowledge is all about lessons learned. It's not necessary. How could you get the knowledge from an experienced person? That's where it is very important. You want to make sure you do conversations with them, you do some like the atmosphere of trust. All those information help you to get that knowledge from that resource. Okay. And the problem is, another problem which I have normally seen is that it depends from person to person, and they would probably interpret it differently. Like for example, if I say your score is good, so for me good means 70%, for you good might means 80%, 90%. So again, this is how every individual interprets. So that's all about knowledge as well. Okay. Then information management, it's a tool which connects people to information. It is used for sharing simple, unambiguous information. Many subtools are there, for instance, PMIS, information gathering, updating the lessons learned register. So all of those, I would say these are the tools like PMIS, the knowledge base. Then uh, all of those things are actually community of practice. All of those are actually part of this information management. Then interpersonal and team skills. Um, so let's go back to our knowledge management and information management. So when I talk about information management, this is your PMIS, project management information, like a real software tool. When I'm talking about knowledge management, that is the example which I talked about, the community of practice, the social, the FB groups, the LinkedIn groups, all those, the groups like the PMI workshops, like the local chapters, they do some kind of meetings and all those are actually knowledge management. So this can actually help you to differentiate between knowledge and information management. Then you also need interpersonal and team skills to get the lessons learned, like active listening. Active listening is like this is something which we will probably discuss in communication management knowledge area. Like I'm teaching you something, you're actively listening, you're asking me questions, and I'm also asking you question. Did you get it? All those are examples of active listening actually. The networking, the PMI workshops which are conducted. I remember normally I go once or twice a month and try to attend these lunch and learns, things like that. So all of those are actually networking events which are used. Political awareness, like who is a strong person in your organization. Again, politics is not a wrong word. So please, political is it's all about power also. You as a project manager needs to make sure you need to know who all are the powerful stakeholders, and accordingly you want to manage their expectations as well. This is something which we would be discussing in much more detail in the communication management as well as in the stakeholder management knowledge area. Then of course leadership, how a leader speak, how they're giving you the vision, are you able to relate to that vision? All those are important aspects. Then facilitation, we have already discussed the facilitation. There is a facilitator who is making sure that you're gathering the information. Like it's more structured. If you remember, the example was a JAD session, joint application development. So the primary output from this process would be our lessons learned register. This output is something which is created early in the project and is constantly updated. It includes problem, success, challenges, description, recommendations, and etc. So first of all, I want to make sure that whenever you read the PMBOK, make sure you read the bullet point of this document. What all things are part of it? Try to relate it with your real life projects. So I would say I bought the car, right? I bought that car, and what are the lessons learned? I probably might have discussed about the mileage. I did not care about the mileage initially, right? That was one of the I probably might have gone for an SUV if I'm thinking about making the family and things like that. So SUV probably would give me a better fit, right? So all of these are some of the lessons learned. Okay, was my project success of buying a car? I would say yes. I wanted to follow my passion and I bought it, right? I wanted to get a good car, a car which is like more like a racing car, a more speedy car, right? All those are type of the lessons learned which I got from this project. Then of course you will get the project management plan updates and the OP updates. So that lesson learned, as I told you, if you see it closely, lessons learned register is was updated constantly. So next time if I do, again that document would be updated and again that would become part of OPA, so that the future projects may use this document. And whatever mistakes we did, whatever failures we had, I don't want them to make the same mistake. Whatever success we have, I want them to make sure that they follow, they do some kind of benchmarking and follow our whatever things we do, they might do the same, and they might also get benefit out of it. Okay, so let's just do a quick revision. So focus your efforts on understanding the primary output, the lessons learned register. As I told you, the lessons learned register is your key output. So this is something which you need to focus. Make sure you read the bullet points. Review the tools, knowledge management and information management. Understand the difference between knowledge management and the information management, and specifically about the explicit and tacit knowledge. Okay, explicit, again I repeat, something that can be expressed using words, using document, using pictures. But tacit is something which is more very difficult to express, something which you will get it by experience or insights. Okay, then obtaining lessons learned is done throughout the project. This is something you will hold through your project, you will do that. And finally, motivation is an important aspect of the knowledge management. Motivation is very important. So if the team is not motivated, they won't feel comfortable to share their lessons learned. So make sure the team is motivated, and how you can motivate them. This is something which we will talk about in the resource management aspect.